Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in Sefer CHOFETZ CHAIM, the laws of Lashon Hara, and we're now embarking on Klal Dovid, the fourth chapter, which he introduces with the following words: Bichlal zeh, in this Klal, in this chapter, Yevayer Issa Lashon Hara mibein Adam l'Makor. We have to explain how Lashon Hara pertains between man and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'tikun al chet zeh, and what is the rectification of such a sin? So the CHOFETZ CHAIM will explain what exactly he means by this. Also, you're not allowed to tell negative information about your friend, even if it's not in front of him. And it's true. Anything that will cause him embarrassment and shame, you are not allowed to say. As we know, that's what we've been learning. We're not talking about things that are genai, that are just a regular embarrassment and shame. You want to remind him, your father was a ganav, he was a thief. I remember your uncle, you remember that guy that he ended up getting busted by the government, and we saw him on the front pages of the New York Times over there being taken away. Or I remember that you had a brother who was in school and he ended up going off the derech, Rahman al-Zan. You remember all of that? You can't. These are embarrassing things. Or you want to remind this person of his earlier deeds, which means maybe this fellow is a Baal Tshuva, maybe this person made mistakes in his past, and now he's, Baruch Hashem, he's looking pretty good in the world of Yiddishkeit. You want to what? You want to remind him of the things that he did when he was younger, the things that he did wrong? Whether they are things that are between him and Hashem, or between him and his fellow man. Sure, since that now he's living a life of being kosher, of doing things properly, you are not allowed to embarrass him as a result of this. The Lashon Hara Mikri, and that's called Lashon Hara. Let's say that there was a guy that when he was in elementary school, he was the biggest troublemaker in the world. He was getting suspended. Every teacher was afraid of him. He would bully kids on the yard. He was a terror. And that was when he was in elementary school. And when was somewhere in the middle of junior high school, he realized the error of his ways. And he began doing tshuva, and he started learning Musar, and he had a therapist who helped him understand social inadequacies and so on and so forth. And he became a tzaddik of a person. And he became the kindest, nicest, most beneficial young man of the yeshiva. He was looking out for everybody, he helped everybody. If he saw somebody else getting bullied, he would run to the rescue and to save them. So now what are you going to do? You're going to come to this guy when he's in high school, and you say, wow, I remember you. You're the bully. You're the kid that was so mean to everybody else. You were the terror of the class. All the teachers were afraid of you. Chas v'chalil, you can't do such a thing. Because if a person has changed his ways and they've moved on from the mistakes that they made in the past, it's gone, it's buried, it's finished. And if you come and you end up reminding them, or you tell over these words, chalila, to somebody else even, so you are speaking nothing less than Lashon Hara, and it's a really terrible thing. Even if you would see, let's say Reuven sees Shimon, the person in question over here, that Makor beino lebein atzma, that he observed him. He saw him do something that's really not appropriate according to halacha. And what you saw him do is something that is between Shimon and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was careless in a certain mitzvah, in a certain halacha. And he just puts in parentheses over here that when it comes to seeing somebody do something between him and his fellow man, there's a lot of details that are there. When we get to the 10th chapter, we'll explain that. You are not allowed to denigrate Shimon as a result of this, because that you saw him do something that is questionable in his avodas Hashem between him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Lashon Hara. Afilu shaloi b'fanav, even if you say it not in front of Shimon, unless, as we shall see coming up in Siv Zion, we'll get there, we'll see that there are certain ways that you would be in fact allowed to say something, but in general, no. Now he writes in the Haggadah, in the notes, this is talking about a regular Jew, someone who tries to do his best, like we'll explain. But if it becomes clear to the person who's saying over the words of Lashon Hara, the reason that this person is not careful, which means, for example, let's say that this guy goes into a treif restaurant and he eats food that's treif, and I say to the guy, "What are you doing? It's treif." He says, "No, it's not treif. It's I only eat fish. I only eat vegetables. I only eat kosher animals. Kosher animals. What are kosher animals? Cow is a kosher animal. A sheep is a kosher animal. A goat is a kosher animal. Yeah, but it wasn't shechted. Who says? Who says it has to be shechted? So if you see, God forbid, that a person does such a thing like that, al ish kazel rachel, you're not commanded not to be a talebearer about such a person, because he's not included in amongst your nation or the Jews, because he's an apikoros, because he became a heretic. These ideas will be explained later on. Now this is a big sugya today. It's not so simple. The people that are quote unquote apikorsim, you have to know the history, you have to know the past, you have to know what's going on with them, you have to know their struggles. But Lamaisa, at the end of the day, says the CHOFETZ over here, a person should be exceedingly careful. That even if you see a person do something wrong between him and Hashem, don't jump to conclusions, and certainly don't go and share the information, because if you do, you're speaking Lashon Hara. Have a wonderful day.